Hello, I'm doing a quick tutorial on how to set up Dolphin VR for Metroid Prime Trilogy and how to get motion controls working in VR without a Wii remote. I'll have timestamps for each step along the way, and I guess let's get into it. The first thing you're going to need is Dolphin VR. So the installer is down in the description along with every link you'll need throughout the video. Download that. That'll take a moment. I'll wait on that. Once this bar is filled up, it'll prompt you to save the file however your browser does it. Save it to wherever you want and then open it up. Click yes, and then I agree. Now, if you don't know what these are, you'll probably need them. If not, then you can check them off. And then just install Dolphin VR to any folder you want, your preference. I made a folder here that I'll install it into. We'll wait on that. Actually, while that's installing, you can quickly go into the description, get the Steam VR executable for it, download that from Google Drive. This will basically force Dolphin VR to run in Steam, which we'll need for the motion controls to work. Alright, saved that. This is done installing. So now what you're going to want to do, go to the folder that you installed Dolphin VR, drop in this Dolphin Steam VR exe, and then this is very important, especially if you have another Dolphin install. Just create a text document, call it portable. You don't need the .text if you don't see the .text, otherwise just type portable, hit enter. That's all you need. You don't need to write anything in it, just make sure it's in this folder. Alright. And then you can just open up the Dolphin Steam VR exe. You can agree or disagree to this. It's up to you. It doesn't change anything about the program. Next, you're going to want to set whichever folder you have your Metroid Prime in. You just double click on the text there and it'll give you a prompt to set whatever folder you have it in. I have mine in here. I'll select that, and then we're on to the next couple of setup steps. First, open up config. You're going to want to enable cheats. That's pretty important. You can close out of there, and then we'll go to the graphics settings and go to enhancements. Here you'll probably want to bump up the resolution a bit to either 2-3 times native, somewhere in between, whatever works for your computer. I prefer to keep it at 1080p. That works for VR the best because it will look a little blurry in VR if you have it at a lower resolution. You can close out of the graphics settings there, and the next thing you're going to want to do is right click on the game itself, Metroid Prime Trilogy, go to properties, and then go to the AR codes page. I've put a bunch of them, 2 of them, in the description here. So what you're going to want to do is hit add new code, type in the name. These ones remove culling from the game so that things don't start disappearing around you while you're playing. Because when you're playing in VR, you'll be able to see farther than you normally would be able to, so stuff will start unloading around you. Just add in both codes, and then you can only have one of them selected at a time, so make sure you check off the one that you're not using. So you use this one for Metroid Prime 1 and 2, and you use this one for Metroid Prime 3. Alright. Next thing you want to do is hit Edit Config down here, and that will bring up a text document, hopefully, or prompt you to open a text document. Just open it with Notepad, and it should just look like this. It might have a few other lines of code, but just go to the bottom and then copy this line of text from the description. Copy it and paste it. Once that's in there, you can close it. Make sure you save the file, and then give this a moment. Go to the Hide Objects tab back in this Properties for Metroid Prime, and you'll see a bunch of these were added. These different codes are going to fix some graphical bugs. So you can just check off this. You should just check off the one that you're using for each game. So if you're playing Metroid Prime 1 or 2, check off this one. If you're playing Metroid Prime 3, check off these ones. The rest are just for Metroid Prime 1. You can just check off most of them, though there is a bit of a bug with the charge beam one, I believe, where it'll cause some text to be cut out in-game. So I prefer to play with it off, but that'll also cause some weird warping when you fire your charge beam. Alright, you can close out of there though, and I will hop into VR and show you the next few steps. Alright, once you've loaded into VR, beware the beginning might be a bit choppy. That's pretty normal. There's a few spots that slow down a lot more than others, but if you have a decent enough computer, you should be able to get through it, get to the better parts, rather. What you want to do once you're in VR, you should be in Steam. You want to go to the menu, go to Now Playing, that's where it should be normally, and then click Controller Bindings. Also on a touch controller, that's just this menu button here that brings up this. Go to the Bindings, and then hit Custom, edit this binding, and then go to Setup Legacy Actions. Change this here, pretend to be this type of controller, to Vive Controller. It's a very important step to get the motion controls working in here. Go back a couple times. You can just back out of this menu completely. And the next step, you're going to have to take off your headset. Make sure it's still on though. You might have to cover up the sensor with whatever you have. Maybe you're just your finger, a piece of paper, whatever, as long as it makes the headset think that you're still wearing it. And now you're going to want to go back to the Dolphin software with this still open. Once you're back here, just go to the controllers. Now make sure you still need to have your VR headset on so you can use the controllers. Go to Configure Emulated Wii Remote and go to Devices, select Vive, and then you'll have a bunch of profiles to choose from here. Scroll to any of the Vive Nunchuck profiles, select it, and click Load. This will set up the motion controls most importantly, and then from there you can set up your own controls because these won't be very compatible with an Oculus Touch controller. And while you're changing these bindings, you have to keep in mind that every touch on the controller counts as a separate input. Like just resting your finger on the A button is a different action than pressing the A button. So when you change these things, you want to rest your finger on it before you press it. So I'm resting my finger on the right trigger and then pulling it to change the right trigger to fire or A. and B, I want that to be A on the right touch controller. So if I was to just tap A, it says touch right A instead of, here, wait, instead of, if I hold my finger on it and then press it down, it's a different input. See, now it's just right A. Now when I rest my finger on it, it won't do that button. Now, the 1 and 2 are your map and settings. I'll just set those to the X and Y on my left controller. So let me move around here. I will hold down the Y button, click 1, bit finicky. Alright, let me try that again. I hit the wrong button. There. It should display as L menu for the Y, and for X, LA. Now I have 1 and 2 as these buttons. You can see it'll flash red at the bottom when you press them. And the plus and minus in-game are your visor and beam selects. So I'm just going to set that to the left and right on the joystick because when you hold that down in-game, it brings up a menu. You just point and release. It's the same thing with these. You want to hold your finger on it before you flick the stick. Alright. Alright. And the home button I will set to, I'll just clear the home button. You won't really need that. You can middle mouse click to clear. Oh. And then for the D-pad, I'm going to clear all those options for now because I'm pretty sure the only one you're going to need in most of the game is down, which will be the missiles. I'm going to set that to the right grip. That will fire a missile. I'm pretty sure the only other things you use the D-pad for are in the map, but I don't really know what else I would map that to normally. Next, you can go to the nunchuck, configure in here. The left trigger is already set to Z, which is what I would normally set it as. That's the lock-on in-game. That will lock on to whatever you're pointing at. And C, I will set that to clicking down the left stick. Now, for some reason, changing the nunchuck configuration is a bit weird. It might bug it out. This happens often to me. Worst comes to worst, you're just going to have to deal with the default controls where C is the grip and the left trigger is Z or Z, and the stick should already be set up, so you're okay on that front. I personally might just recommend leaving this. Don't even go into this configuration in case of this bug. So in any case, the next thing you're going to want to do is select a profile here. Like, type in whatever you want to name your profile and just click save. That way you can load it up whenever you want. And after that, I will show you in-game the rest of the settings I'd want to set up. Alright, I've loaded in here. Now, the first thing that I would do when you selected those buttons, to bring up the menu here, and then go to options with minus, and then go down to visor. Select that, and then go to helmet opacity and just turn that all the way down because there's, at the moment, no way to lock the heads-up display. I'd also turn off HUD lag. There's no way to lock it to your view, though. It'll always be facing the arm cannon, so it looks a bit nicer to just have, you know, a heads-up display without a floating helmet. It helps a little bit with the immersion, but I mean, other than that, this is the game. Keep in mind this opening bit, it's a bit laggy. Going indoors helps a bit when you're in corridors and whatnot. Once all that stuff out there unloads, then it should get a little bit easier on your computer, but as you see here, I'm struggling. My computer is not running well here. I may even recommend just playing the entire opening section with culling on. There'll be quite a bit more graphical bugs, but it'll be playable. Oh, now it's running a bit faster. You see it unloads all that stuff outside, and it's running a bit faster. Like, a lot a bit faster. Alright, so back here, one of the last couple steps. If you want to remove the crosshair, I've included my own file here. This is zip. Just download this from Google Drive. Click the download up here and save the zip. And then let me go to my desktop. You're going to want to open up the zip and then go to your Dolphin VR folder. And then here you want to go to user and then load, and then take this folder inside of the zip, R3M, drag it into the textures. From here, in order to load this file, which is just a blank file that crosses out the crosshair, you're going to go to the graphics settings of Dolphin, click to the advanced tab, load custom textures, and then close. Now, as you see here, there's no more crosshair. It's gone. The crosshair is no longer visible in VR, and it works. The shots come out of the arm cannon, so it's very easy to aim still, and it's just more comfortable. And even when you're using this, it still brings up a pointer. When you're using this, it still brings up a pointer, and you still see your skin. So the only thing that changes is your combat cursor. That's about it for the tutorial. I hope that I helped you. It's my first time doing a tutorial sort of video, or even really recording my voice on a YouTube video in a while. So I'm a bit rusty. It might be a little crummy, but I got the steps out. That's all that matters. Yeah, that's about it. Have a good day. If you have any trouble following any of the steps, just drop a comment. I'll hopefully reply someday. That's about it.